Hey, Shannon. Hey, Shannon.
Hi, Eve.
I just brought Megan Lehman in, and we've got Mel Zimmerman and somebody under the name of Grammy Guliani in the waiting room still. Bring them in now. Hi, good evening, everybody.
Good
I see
evening.
we have, is Mel Zimmerman? And I have who is Grammy? And I'm so sorry, how's the last name pronounced here?
Eve, I don't see a phone next to that name, so they may be only listening on the computer.
I see. Gotcha. Okay. Okay, I have 6:59. We'll get started right at 7. Alrighty. Good evening, everybody. Thanks so much for coming to Lycoming County's Clean Water Open House. I appreciate your time. My name is Eve Adrian. I am the Natural Resource Planner and CAP Coordinator for Lycoming County. I'll explain the CAP part of my job title in a second. This is an informal discussion where I will be presenting an overview of what Lycoming County's Clean Water Plan is and why we're doing it. And then I'll move on to a discussion about how you can get involved in this initiative. There's going to be plenty of time for questions, so if you have any that I'm not sure about, I will gladly follow up with you at a later time. Oh, it looks like we have another person waiting. Do also note that I'm recording this meeting, so nothing that you put in the chat will be publicly available. This is more so if you don't want your video recorded, go ahead and uncheck your video. And I'll show you how to do that in a second here. I'm just making sure that I have my attendance. Hi, Andy. Okay. So before we get started, I wanted to let you know a few things. First off, like I said, this meeting is being recorded. So I have some Zoom instructions as well. I am familiar with most of the people on this call, but if you are on a phone, like a landline, you called in, you won't be able to see my screen. So I will read everything off of my screen. This will also be available to view later on our website, and I'll put that link. The link is everywhere. I'll make sure you have it. And any kind of meeting notes, I'll have an outline that you can read, and it's going to have a version of what we talked about today. So if you can't see the screen, don't worry, you'll see it later at some point. Also, if you are calling in, or I'm sorry, if you are in on some kind of device, whether it be a computer or a phone, you may still need to call in if your device does not have a microphone. So the Zoom will let you know if you're not linked to some kind of microphone. It makes it a problem for you if you don't have audio. Also, a couple of things. I'm going to teach you how to mute and unmute yourself if you're not aware. So you should have a little menu. I'm sharing my screen right now. Somebody let me know, can you actually see my screen, just to double check?
Yes, see if you can.
Awesome. So there should be a little menu bar for you. It's going to be at the bottom. And if you hover at the bottom, you'll be able to see a mute button. If you click that, it will mute you. If you click it again, it will unmute. The same goes for your video. It's right next to the mute button. And if you click that, it will turn your video off. Click it again, turn it back on. If you don't have those capabilities, you won't be able to connect anyway, so don't worry about it. Another very important piece for this meeting is the chat function. Again, at the bottom of your screen, if you hover, you should be able to see a chat button. You can click on that and it will open up a menu for you to be able to type something in. And we will be using that quite a bit this evening. So if you don't have that, if you're calling in and you're not seeing my screen, feel free to just verbally let me know answers to questions, or if you have questions yourself, I'd be happy to take those. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put something into the chat. I'm going to ask you to put your name, and anybody else who is joining on your device in the chat. This is so that I have accurate attendance. Also, nothing that you put in the chat is going to be publicly available. This is an FYI. Oh, nice, and I spelled publicly wrong. So put your name, anyone else who's joining you on your device in the chat. Your name will not be publicly available. Okay, so as you're doing that, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions right up front. Number one, how did you hear about this event? And I'm going to put that question in the chat as well. For some of you, it's not fair because Jenny and Shannon and Megan are very closely linked to this process and they already knew about it because I told them. But for other folks, how did you hear about this event? I'll take your silence as you heard it from the heavens. It came upon you in a dream and you just knew to link up tonight. Okay, Andy, you heard about it from email. Perfect. Yep. Mel, you participate on committees. Yep. Okay. Yep, so Megan, you let me know that you can see Andy's response. Yes, so you can also change who you send your messages to. So there should be a drop-down box for that, just as an FYI. All right, second question. What are you hoping to learn today? Do you have anything specific that you'd like to learn about? I'm going to put that question in the chat as well. This is a general information session, but if there's anything specific that you'd like to learn about, I want to know so that I can address any questions or touch on any topics specifically for you. If you just want to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride, that's fine too. Okay, I'll go ahead and move on. So today, we're going to talk about a bunch of things. We're going to talk about what exactly the CAP is, what the goals of the CAP are, importance of participating in this plan, timeline and process, who's involved, what our pollution reduction goals are, what our next steps are, and what you can do to help. And then we'll have a specific time set for questions, but since this is a pretty small group, if you have any questions throughout the time that I'm going through my little info session, go ahead and stop me. I'll be checking the chat as well. I can see it on my other screen, so just go ahead and ask away. So what is the CAP? I want to share this quote that Greg Bonsall, the Lycoming County Conservation District Manager, said, "This is a very unique and exciting opportunity. It's not every day that you can play a role in how government will function for the upcoming future." And it's very true. Like, this is a unique time, and if we can really capitalize on our core group of people who are working on this plan day to day, and anywhere in between just a neighbor that you have or you yourself, we want to really make sure that we have this opportunity to capture your ideas and interests. So the CAP is officially known as the Countywide Action Plan, CAP. This plan is a comprehensive initiative to reduce nutrient pollution in our local waterways. It is part of a larger initiative supported by the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, or DEP, to meet state clean water goals. So in 2010, pollution limits and reduction goals were assigned, and a deadline of 2025 was set to meet those goals. And we're not the only ones doing this plan. Each of the 6 Chesapeake Bay states and the District of Columbia, so that's Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, West Virginia, New York, and DC, like I said, all accountable for reducing pollution locally and in the Bay. This plan is actually part of a phased set of plans that is aimed to go on basically a pollution diet to achieve these goals. So this is the third of a 3-phase plan. So it didn't just come out of nowhere. All right, goals of our CAP. Multifaceted goals. We want to improve local water quality. That's number 1. We also aim to reduce flooding with this plan. We want to enrich our partnerships that we have, support farmers, bolster our local and regional economy, leverage funding opportunities, and avoid regulations and higher costs for compliance. So this is just a snapshot of all of the goals that we have for this plan. But like I said, it's multifaceted. There's lots of different partners involved, and so the list could go on and on, but this is just the main snapshot here. Importance of participating. Benefits of CAP success include retaining control of our local water quality resources agenda, in air quotes. So basically meaning we can pick how we want to address water quality. How do we prioritize these locally? We maintain county identified solutions for pollution and flood reduction. And this provides us an opportunity to identify previously unknown grant and cost share opportunities. So this goes back to bolstering our economy and really leveraging our partnerships. This is where that really comes into play. And consequences for non-participation. This is, includes missed opportunities to address local water pollution and flooding, more regulation and government oversight potentially higher costs for compliance, water quality compliance, and there's a potential for EPA to withhold or redirect funding for our local goals. What the CAP is not. The CAP is not an unfunded mandate. It's not regulatory. It is not an expansion of MS4, and it is not a plan to increase taxes. It is not. So now that we know what the CAP is, what the goals are, and why we want to participate in this, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to put it in the chat. It is, what have you heard about the CAP? If you have heard anything about this plan at all, it's also probably being called something like the WIP or the Chesapeake Bay Plan. It's got a few different names, but we're all talking about the same thing. So if you've heard anything about the CAP, what is it that you've heard? Give it a minute. Oh, sorry, Mel. I just sent that message to you. We'll try it again. Send it to everybody. While you're answering, I'll move on to timeline and process. So here's a simplified timeline and process that we've been working with. The CAP will comprise of about 6 to 8 months of planning where stakeholders meet regularly to identify and select and prioritize projects that will help achieve our pollution reduction goals. And I'll talk about specifically what those goals are in a minute. So after the planning phase, we'll enter a 4-year implementation phase where stakeholders will implement and report the projects that we've selected from the planning phase. Right now, we are smack in the middle of our planning phase. And we are, we started in January in earnest with this plan, starting to really collect different stakeholders and garner interest and figure out what exactly we want to do. So we've been having regular meetings ever since then with diverse groups of stakeholders and identifying local priorities and resources that we can really use. So who's involved in this? A lot of people. We have over 150 individual stakeholders that we've been working with that span across a huge spectrum of affiliations. Like we have, federal agencies involved. We have state agencies involved. We have local government involved, water and sewer authorities. We have our conservation district at the county, at Lycoming County, and we're also working loosely with Northumberland County Conservation District. We're working with watershed associations, environmental organizations, quite a few nonprofits, lots of farmers, teachers, colleges, businesses, and interested citizens, and data scientists. So all of these groups have really been coming together to collaboratively come up with a plan that is achievable and implementable and will work for us to achieve our goals. So it's been a hugely collaborative process, and that's one of the reasons why we're coming to you, the public, because we want to provide opportunities to give you information about what we're doing and also giving you feedback on how you can work with us now and in the future on this project specifically. And like I said before, this is going to be a multi-year process, so there's going to be a lot of opportunities in the future too. All right, so I promised I'd give you these specific goals that we have for the county. So like I mentioned earlier, the CAP is part of a larger initiative that's supported by DEP, the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. This is part of a larger initiative to meet state clean water goals. And so this is our actual clean water goals for 2025, which describes, here's this acronym, total maximum daily loads, or TMDL, for nitrogen and phosphorus. So this graph is really what we have been working within, where we have our year, we have 1985, where we have our nitrogen pounds per year delivered to local county waterways, and we also see our phosphorus pounds per year delivered to local waterways. So that was at its highest in 1985 based on this graph when this was actually monitored. And so we also have our 2019 nitrogen pounds per year, a little bit less, our phosphorus pounds per year, quite a bit less. And then we have our 2025 goals. It feels far away, but we know for sure that it's not that far away. So these are our final TMDL, total maximum daily load planning targets, where we want to be at these numbers, which means that we have remaining loads to be reduced at, for nitrogen pounds per year, 1.2 million. And our phosphorus, we have 76,000 pounds per year that we want to reduce by 2025. So those are our big goals, our big overarching goals for the end of this plan. So we'll be trying to achieve these TMDLs by identifying and implementing projects from our CAP. These projects include best management practices, or BMPs, that can be inputted through an algorithm and spit out nutrient reductions as an output. So it's a neat model. It's called the CAST model for anybody who's a data nerd. That's what we use to really figure out what reductions our BMPs will produce. So each project that we pick contains one or multiple BMPs that can help reduce nutrient pollution, and every effort, large or small, counts towards our clean water goals. So every little thing is very important for our large, broader goal for 2025. So this includes, I just took a sampling of things that are in our CAP or could be in our CAP. Things like tree plantings. This can be like urban tree plantings or plantings near streams where you have a field, like a farm field, So planting trees, doing watershed restoration work, ag practices like no-till, cover crops, and manure management. So this is just, again, it's just a sampling of all the different BMPs that we can really choose from to put in our cap. We also have a lot of projects that may not directly have BMP outputs, things like training or education and outreach, because we know that a lot of these projects cannot happen without having those elements of education and outreach to the public or to specific individuals who are interested in doing some of these projects. So that's really how this is the quantifying portion of this plan. What are we doing to get to these numbers? And the data that we're using to help target projects and locations comes from a document that is provided by the state that's called the Technical Toolbox. Just as an FYI, we're not the only county to receive this. Every county who's participating in this plan gets one. And it contains very, very detailed information about where nutrient pollution is coming from and how we could reduce it. It gives kind of like suggestions and guidelines for how we could approach those big number goals that we have for 2025. So we've really been using it as a guide for how we can focus our planning efforts. I just picked these two graphs just to give an explanation and illustrate how detailed this plan or this document really is. So this includes a graph broken out by nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment, these different pie graphs of the loads meaning the nutrient loads delivered to streams from developed and stormwater sectors. So it's broken out by sector. We have development, we have ag, we have natural occurring nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment. So it really runs the gamut of how this data is coming to us. And then we also, that was the graph to the left. Our graph to the right is estimated share of manure nitrogen applied to ag land in the county by animal source. Again, just illustrating just how detailed this data is to explain that we're not picking projects out of a black box. They're really coming from specific data that is based in reality and, you know, making sure that you understand we're not picking favorites. It's coming from data. So we have this pie graph that shows the animal source coming from the theory, different cattle, swine, turkeys, beef, horses, different poultry, very, very detailed. So that was just why I picked these two graphs just to illustrate how detailed this information is. You can find this technical toolbox on our webpage, and I'm going to put this in the chat so you can find it. If you're interested, if you're a data nerd and you want to find this data and look through it, it's very interesting. Lots of maps, lots of resources. I'll go ahead and put it in the chat. Okay, I just sent that to everybody. Okay, so what are our next steps for the county? We have 3 next steps specifically. We have planning, outreach, and communication. So for planning, we want to continue meeting with stakeholders to identify projects that will reduce pollution. So like I said, we have over 150 individuals that we've been working with regularly. So we'll continue meeting with them. We're, you know, constantly broadening our outreach. If there's somebody that, you know, wants to recruit somebody who would be interested or have some kind of information to share with the group, we're just constantly making this net wider. So we're going to continue doing that. We're also going to work toward an agreed upon prioritization strategy because we have all these projects, but we have to figure out a way that we can really quantify how we prioritize them, you know. And so right now that's what we're doing. We're really figuring out what's going to work, what's going to make the most sense, how can we make it so that it is objective and not subjective. So that's our big goal for right now. For outreach, we're going to release and review these 2 surveys that we're going to send out after this meeting. We have a public interest survey and an ag practices survey. I'll talk about those a little bit more in depth in a second here. We'll also be at the Lycoming County Fair. That's July 14th to the 24th. So I'm pretty excited about that because last year we didn't have one, and I'm hoping that a lot of people come out and check out the information that we have to share. And then for communication, we have newsletters. We have these newsletters that come out. I'll bring up some examples of those in our next slide. And any press releases that we do are going to be on the web page. We're sharing anything that we share in press releases on Facebook. So just be on the lookout for that if you want to go to Lycoming County Government's Facebook or the web page for the CAP plan. That's where we put a lot of our press releases and any news coming out. And then for communication, we'll also be sending out our stakeholder check-in meeting materials and recordings. So the stakeholder check-in meetings are monthly meetings that we have with all the stakeholders. Everybody's invited to that meeting, and it's really just an update. And that I think is helpful to have available to the public just in case people want to stay informed about what kind of conversations we're having. So those are our next steps. What can you do to help? So we want you to keep us in the loop. So I told you I'd talk about these surveys a little bit more. We have these two surveys. The public interest survey is a survey that really is trying to capture what kind of pollution reducing practices you are already doing on your property, that you're interested in learning about or implementing. And then it also gets into what kinds of projects you would like to see be prioritized for our CAP. So it's broad categories. It's not very technical, and so really anybody can fill it out. So fill out that survey. It's going to be on a SurveyMonkey link, so you can just do it online if you prefer doing it that way. I'll also have a fillable PDF linked to our webpage so that you can just open it, fill it out, and then either email it to me, fax it, physically mail it back. I have all that information right on the front page, so whatever way is easiest for you to get that back to us, excellent. And like I said about the Ag Practices Survey, if you're a farmer or if you know a farmer, it's basically the same thing, just aimed at farmers. That one is a little bit more technical. So yeah, fill out those surveys. We're going to have more in the future for sure. But yeah, let us know. Let us know what you're thinking. What are you interested in learning more about? Also, do tell your friends and neighbors about these surveys and ways that they can reduce pollution on their property. And stay involved in the future. So we've got these newsletters. I told you I'd show you examples. They're not super technical. I have March, April, and May. This is basic format. It's just 2 pages. It's a PDF document, and you can download it straight from our website. It's got some interesting BMP, best management practice related news, a BMP showcase, some CAP news about what's going on in our plan and what we're doing, some testimonies about the plan from other counties that have actually done it already, announcements, and then we have these cool maps that we are doing that are related to CAP work. It's kind of interesting to just have this information, and it's based on different, not holidays, but like World Ocean Day or Endangered Species Day, or things like Ocean Day Trout. So just kind of like a cool map to check out to learn a little bit more about Lycoming County and the neat things that happen in Lycoming County. And then we have a little bit about the map. And I have some notes I put in as well. So we have our March, our April, and our May. Maybe most recent one was about the whole there, so we have these little icons, very cute. So yeah, they're right on our website, so do check them out. It's full of information about what's going on, what's happening, and what we're looking to do moving forward. Like I said, those recorded meetings, I put them right on the website. They should open right up, the link should open right up to YouTube. And I put everything that we're doing right on our webpage. So yeah, that's how you can stay involved. So I got 3 questions for you. I'm going to put these in chat. Are you interested in learning about or implementing pollution reducing practices on your property? And then I have some examples, and I will tell you what those are. All right, they're in the chat now. So pollution reducing practices on your property, things like rain capturing gardens. They're also called rain gardens. Forested or grass buffers along streams. Reducing or eliminating lawn fertilizer use. Planting trees and or native vegetation. Or installing pavement that is water permeable. These can be things like, I actually have an example. We have things like pervious concrete. Can you see this? So water goes into it, and it just filters into, like, through the surface into the groundwater. It's a great way to have groundwater recharge. And there's more things than just this pervious concrete. There's lots of other examples. So yeah, let me know. Let me know if you're interested in learning about these or implementing pollution-reducing practices on your property. My second question, are you currently doing these things already or something similar? There's lots of different things. I just chose a few. Yeah, Megan. So these are things that can be done even on very small city lots. Even if you have a very small lot, you can do some of these things. Things like your driveway. I've seen some pretty interesting ones where it will be like a driveway in, like right up to your it's usually like a townhome or an apartment complex, and you'll have the impervious surface, things like concrete, where you drive up, it has the like where your tires go, and then everywhere in between is pervious. It's like gravel or specific pavers that allow for water to go in, the rainwater to go in and filtrate through to the groundwater. So there's lots of different things. All right, Shannon, I mulch my grass when mowing so that I don't need to apply fertilizer. Very simple to do. Very cheap. All right.
I say it's frugal, Eve.
Frugal. Very frugal, not cheap. Megan, we have 3 or 4 downspouts draining to yards sloping away from the house, and one directs the water to a tree. Amazing. Rather than draining to impervious surfaces. Yeah, just these little things. Yeah, just redirecting your downspouts. Awesome. All right, while you're answering that, my third question, this one's an easy one. Would you be interested in participating in future outreach? Things like answering more surveys or participating in more meetings like this, where you know, we have some kind of information session or we have specific asks for the public. You know, would you want to participate, or would you know somebody who'd be really interested in participating? If not yourself, if you're really busy, or maybe you have a kid or a relative who's interested. Okay. All right. So that is the end of my information part of this meeting. Pretty easy, pretty digestible. I didn't get too in the weeds for you, I hope, no pun intended. The big thing I wanted to remind you of was that there will be this survey, the public interest survey and the ag survey. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually open up the link to our webpage so you can actually see where it lives, or where it will live. So here we have our page. Let me know if you can't see this. And here's info about the virtual house. And then here's our technical toolbox, meeting materials for all the stakeholder meetings, and then helpful links. So what I'll do is I'll go to the surveys. So right now it was a survey that we sent out to municipalities, and I'll put it here. And I'll probably also put it up close to the top so you can easily see, just right off of the web page. So I'll put a fillable PDF, and then I'll also have a SurveyMonkey link. I was hoping to get that up sooner, but it will be as soon as possible, and I'll let you all know. If you all want to actually go ahead and send me your emails, I think I have most of your emails, but if you'd like me to send you some information directly, go ahead and put your email down in the chat, or email me, so that way I can do that for you. Send you direct information. So yeah, what kind of questions do you have? Or concerns? Go ahead and put it in the chat, or unmute yourself and let me know what kind of questions you have or concerns. For folks who are familiar with this project, is there anything that I'm missing that I can add to this info session? What questions, concerns, or ideas do you have? Oh, Mel, I just saw that you messaged. I'm also representing the Loyalsock Watershed Association, and we'll add information and links to our summer newsletter in July. Nice. So Mel is representing the Loyalsock Watershed Association. So look out for their newsletters. Anything else? I clicked my slide over so you can see my email and my phone number. And of course, the link. I'll actually put the link to the page up again into the chat, so you have it. You can also type in lyco.org/CWAP.
Eve, when do you think we'll have these surveys up there?
I'll put them up as soon as we get off. As soon as this call is over, I'll put them right up, and then you can access them. So yeah, we have the physical copies that you can just download the fillable PDFs, send them to me. I have the information about how to send them to me. Pull them up right now for you. This is what the first page looks like, so you can see return survey message by mail, by fax, or by email. So I'm going to send you a PDF. You can download it. I also have the SurveyMonkey up.
Good, thank you.
Oh yeah, of course. If you think of anything, like it's 3 in the morning and you wake up and you go, oh, I should ask this question, go ahead and email me or send me a phone call, leave me a message. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I won't get back to you at 3 in the morning, but kind of close, 8:30. Okay. Well, if there is nothing else, going once, going twice. Okay. Well, I'll call it a night for today. And thank you for attending this little info session. I hope it was helpful. If you want to view this again, if there's some detail that you want to look at, I'm going to put this video, I'm going to put this recording on the web page. It'll go right to YouTube. And any notes, any preloaded notes that I have, I'll put them right up on the web page. Just go to the web page. There's everything on there. Awesome. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your evening, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Eve.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eve.
Thanks.